Welcome to Real Talk with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Roberts, and if you've ever struggled with feeling stuck in your life, or if you find yourself wondering if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you're going to want to tuck in with me for the next hour. We are going deep with mindfulness coach and hypnotherapist Moira Hutchison, who will help us uncover our life purpose. And later, I've got Deveau with me to help us figure out what we can actually do with our life purpose once we know what it is. If you've struggled with the frustration that comes from not knowing how to express yourself fully in your life, or if you want to be inspired to live your bliss, then this is the show for you. So let's do this. Episode 5 of Real Talk with Sarah starts right now. Well, my first guest has been coaching, inspiring, and encouraging me for years, and I couldn't wait to have her on to share her wisdom and expertise on helping us all find our life purpose. It's her passion, and there is no one better to help us figure it all out. Welcome, Moira.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here to dig in to this topic that I think a lot of people have misconceptions around.
Absolutely.
So I want to know, what is a life purpose?
So a life purpose, there's lots of different names for life purpose. So I think that that's something that a lot of people kind of get confused about. So life purpose is, it's your calling, it's your bliss, it's the thing that gives you meaning. You know, Viktor Frankl wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. And that's actually a really big pivotal piece for my coaching practice, is that we are all looking for that meaning. That's what that life purpose part is.
Yeah.
So the thing that makes me so very sad, though, and we were joking about it a moment ago, about maybe there's this grand master list of life purposes, and I get to say, that's mine. And wouldn't it be nice if that doesn't work that way? Sorry. The thing about what gives you meaning, what is your purpose, is we all have it. Every single person on this planet has it. And I know lots of people are going, yeah, right, that's why I'm stuck in this dead-end job, or why I'm a cashier at such and such a, at the bank or at the supermarket. But the key piece is, this is time for us to become a detective on ourselves and trust our intuition. Because, and I know you and I had conversations quite a few years ago about that, what's going on in your head, but what's going on in your heart.
Yes. And should I be listening to the head or to the heart or to the gut?
Yes.
Yeah. What's telling the truth?
Fire your head. We all need to fire our head.
Okay.
Because the truth is never going to come from thinking it.
So from the intellectual part of our brain, where we think we should be a firefighter, or we should become
an astronaut or a nurse or
a brain surgeon, whatever it is. We shouldn't be looking at it from that perspective when we're thinking of life purpose.
Absolutely not.
Okay?
Absolutely not.
What should we be doing?
We need to be doing things like coming into our own heart, following our intuition, asking ourselves questions like, what lights me up? What makes me feel like I'm making a difference? What could I do all day long without being paid for it, for instance? So the thing about life purpose is, number one, we all have it. Number two, pretty much all of us are doing it. Isn't that a bit of a head bender?
That's a bit of a head bender. So if we're all doing it already, why are we all still trying to figure out what it is?
Because we're in our head. Because we're in our head, and intellectually we have got it constructed that happiness will be there when I get that role.
Yes.
Happiness will be there. But maybe my life purpose, I mean, I do know what my life purpose is. I have lots of processes and tools to help get that. But once I discovered what my purpose was, I then looked back at my whole life up into that point.
Yeah.
Guess what?
You could
I was doing it.
Yeah.
Not only was I doing it, but anytime I was not completely in alignment with it, things went a bit off. You know, like a bit out of alignment. Like I didn't feel like I was really being me.
So when you look back over your life map and you can see places where you changed course or changed direction, you can see where you've abandoned your life purpose and where you've stuck true to it.
Exactly.
So can you tell us, what is your life purpose?
My life purpose is to teach people responsibility. And I do it using spiritual metaphors and teachings, and which is that's why hypnosis and tarot card readings and coaching weaves and blends all of this magically.
Wow.
And so, like I said to you about that piece, when I discovered that, I went through the process that helped me actually land in that, because not only do we all have that life purpose, so I figure out what mine is, but we all have a gift that allows us to do that. So my gift to do that is I'm a nurturer. So if I'm going to teach you responsibility, I get to nurture you while you work it through, while you maybe have to give up all these preconceived ideas or these thoughts that we're all conditioned to think, well, I have to figure it out. You know, I'm not anybody until I land that brilliant job, or I become the bank manager, or because that's why there's too much association. They're too tied together. Mm-hmm. So this is what I've said. So if my role is to teach people responsibility, it really doesn't matter what job I do.
So how did you come to know that teaching people responsibility is even a possibility for a life purpose? Like, I don't know that I would have ever thought, I know what my life purpose is. It's teaching people responsibility.
Right.
So how do you come up with that? Is there sort of a master list of maybe, does it come from values and our gifts and talents that we are innately born with?
Yes.
Okay.
There is actually a process that I do with people, which helps you drop out of your head. Mm-hmm. And it really, because at the beginning, and at the beginning when I say to somebody, and I actually often will do this, it doesn't matter how old you are, I'll say, what did you want to be when you grow up? Yeah. Now what do you want to be when you grow up? And even, I don't care if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, I'm still going to ask you, what did you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. Or what do you want to be when you grow up? Because we're always changing and morphing and making ourselves into the next best version. So, no, it's not a case of, I went and accessed this great list of what attributes could be my life purpose. Mm-hmm. I went through this process that said, what do you want? And then what do you want if you had that? And then what would that mean? And then what would that mean? And what would it mean? And it's by questioning, and people can do this themselves. You could do a semblance of an exercise like this, that you could do something like, imagine it 6 months from now, and what are you celebrating in regard to how you make your money, or your fitness, or your relationship, or how you could ask that question.
What we're celebrating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are you celebrating?
Okay.
And write that down. And then ask yourself, okay, now I'm going to visualize I've got that. What would it mean to me? How would that be good in my life? And write that down. And then ignore the celebration and ask, what would it give me if I had this? What would that feel like? And you write that down. And you do it 5 layers deep. So access every area that's bothering you. And so there's generally, in this process, I use 4 areas. So I would say my own health, physical health, relationships, money, how you make your money, and then the last one, I call it self, but it's self with a capital S. It's like your connection with source energy or your spiritual beliefs. So if you do that process on all 4 of those, that what you get when you get to that 5th one is your heart speaking. You're not listening to your head. Your head is the one that will come out and say, celebrating. I know what I would celebrate if I had the same body I had when I was 20. That's my celebration. So that's coming straight from my head, right? Because it's kind of an ego-based, take all the limitations away, and that's what I'd like. And when people come through this kind of process with me, they find that what they write on that 5th line, or that 5th time they've asked, it's very small. People will just say, well, it would give me happiness, give me peace. Mm-hmm. And so then by doing that, and it's going through things like this that I started realizing responsibility had a big theme for me That's how I came to that one. And then it comes, it's by trusting my own intuition and listening to my own inner voice that brings that out.
Does that inner voice always come from that listening to the gut, like we talk about it that way?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a good point though, because there's listening to the gut, and I have a lot of clients that we talk about that if they've made a decision that's not quite in alignment, then their digestive system might start going off or complaining, and they realize it's because I'm not following something, and they can course correct. That's slightly different to what I'm talking about intuition. Intuition to me comes straight from the heart. Now they're both very connected, but it's a gut or an emotion-based decision is going to take a wave. And by that I mean you have the celebration, the yes, this is exactly what I want, and as soon as you feel that, you start to talk yourself out of it. Emotional-based people do this. So if they go, yes, this is totally my life purpose, they've got a voice in their head, or their emotional part starts going, no, it's not. Who are you to do that? And there is no way you're going to do that. And they go, the key piece is they have to do that. A person who is their authority or their decision making is emotion based. So this is what I'm saying is there's kind of three different areas. You're either an emotion based decision maker, or you access your gut, or you access your intuition.
And is this decision making deciding what our life purpose is? So we have to know which one to listen to? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And each person, we all have access to all of those. I mean, when we talk about the intuition too, I like to talk about the clairs. So I'm talking about clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance. We also all have them too. But when we're sitting listening to our head too much, we're not getting our own inner wisdom. So that receiving inner wisdom, it doesn't really matter what your process is about making decisions, whether it's through your gut instinct or your emotional makeup will tell you. It's by just being quiet that you get to see that, you get to receive your messages. So by having a little, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes each day, to sit and go quiet, focus on your breath.
I can't agree more with, that's essentially meditation, just taking that time to go inward so that we can have a chance to hear that voice that wants to speak to us.
Exactly, because it's always there.
Yeah.
It's always there. And we've talked before about this, that we always have this mental chatter going. And so it's very important to start having a relationship with our own critical voices. And I've always described those kinds of critical voices, they tend to be, they talk a lot. They're just going all the time.
Yeah, well, last week we had Kylie Delfino talking all about inner critic, so I totally hear you, yeah.
Right, so inner critic, but there's nuances of inner critic in the work that I do. There's a saboteur or an inner judge, there's a procrastinator, there's right? So there's different flavors of them.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a client just a couple of days ago where she is like off the charts with a controller. So
like her partner?
No, it's in her head.
Okay.
This is her controller voice, that she is constantly criticizing everybody else and telling them they have to get it this way, it has to be this way, and it's a dialogue that's going on for her in her mind. So we're working on ways to sort of say, oh yeah, there, I don't have to judge that person or tell that person off. I can take a deep breath and just accept that there's that wee piece of me that's going blah, 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 blah. So it's by that high-pitched talking. So to come back to what I was saying about the intuition, we also all have access to that inner voice that's usually, for me, and I usually say it comes more from here.
Yeah.
So that you can think of it as coming from your heart or coming from your gut, but it doesn't say much, and it's quieter, and it'll say things like all is well, or choose that, or try this.
And do you hear those words in your head, or do you intuitively sense that message coming from within?
Yes to both of those. So, that's actually a really good question, because sometimes it is almost like a conversation in my head. Sometimes when I'm doing card readings, for instance, it will be specific words land from outside of me. It feels like they're just kind of dropped in and then come out my mouth. Whereas other times it's just kind of more like an awareness bubbles up. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying about everybody has access to all of those ways of receiving the messages, whether it's that you hear something or you just suddenly start speaking out something that your head didn't really know that you knew.
Right.
That's clear cognizance.
And we all have that ability inside of us, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And as children, we had it, and we might have lost it along the way. The world conditioned us away from it. We've been talking a lot about your cards, so I want to show these because I love the way they look. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'll give them to you to show how they come out and what happens with them. We've got a couple of minutes, so I'd love for you to share.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually do a Facebook Live every Monday. Where I basically, the premise behind these is that, so we're talking about life purpose and unearthing it and accessing it. Oftentimes what's blocked it is things like limiting beliefs. This first one was fear. Fear, patterns, addictions, relationships even. And so when I was doing some work on this type of area, I kept looking, thinking there should be cards to help me figure out what do I need to let go of. I mean, that's the whole big thing, that I'm helping people let go of the stuff that's blocking them, the stuff that's keeping them playing small or limited or not in alignment with what their calling is. Yeah. So basically these work like a deck of oracle cards.
Okay.
Like angel cards or angel cards.
Like tarot cards?
Tarot cards. Yeah. Well, not quite like tarot cards. In fact, when I do a tarot reading, I actually always finish off with a little reading with these two.
Cool, because these are your own cards that you created. And it comes with this really cool letting go guidance card handbook that goes with it. Yeah. So cool. And so this is going to explain sort of in detail what we will see on the card.
Exactly. Okay. And so let's just, for fun, let's just get Sarah to pull one. Yay. And see, what does Sarah have to let go of in order to more fully shine your light? That's kind of what I do when I'm doing them.
Gossiping or spreading rumors. I have got to stop that.
You have to stop gossiping.
Yes.
So here's that's actually an interesting one to come up, because I know you don't really gossip or spread rumors, but you could have a part of you, like these inner voices, that is talking smack about what Sarah's abilities truly are. And so that's, to me, this would be a really good place just to meditate on that.
Absolutely.
And to just kind of see where do I talk badly about myself or say, oh, I can't do that, or Sarah's not capable of doing that or taking on that project. And
I love that. What a beautiful tool. Well, we have to take a break, but when we come back, Moira is going to teach us a powerful tool we can use when seeking to find our life purpose. Back in a moment. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I've got Moira Hutchison here helping us uncover our life purpose, and she's about to teach us something really cool. I love this tool, but I know you wanted to share something ahead of time.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to come back to what we were talking about that big master list of life purposes that we all wish was there, so that I could just say, that's why that's what I'm going to do. You know how I said that every one of us has a life purpose? Mm-hmm. It really doesn't matter what job you do or what career you're doing, you can still have it being met. And so the example I was talking about was, let's say there's a woman who's a cashier at a supermarket. Yep. And let's say she goes through this process with me to find out what her life purpose is. And her life purpose is to help people feel better about themselves. So you could, if with a purpose like that, you could have something really auspicious, like being a motivational speaker, or having, doing like Louise Hay type things, right? Okay. So she might think, she can't be happy until she's there. But she could, if she is in a job, she has a choice here. She could say, well, I'm so stuck in this god-awful job, I hate the job, and all these customers come through and everybody's complaining and bitching, and I have all these hours to do, I can never follow what I'd really love to be doing. She could do it that way. But if she chose to be in alignment with her life purpose, she could choose to give somebody a little tidbit of like a smile, or just make somebody feel super special each time she interacted with them, and see that as, this is just me on this part of my journey. And that actually will change her whole outlook. She'll actually start finding more ways of having that life purpose met.
That's so beautiful, and it makes me think that employers that see us bringing out our natural gifts and talents, which maybe it is somebody with a cheery smile and a really helpful attitude, they're going to be the people promoted no matter what. They're the people that people then find for these other opportunities. It's when we're complaining and miserable and doing the thing that we're doing, well, change it or move on or whatever, but you got to figure out what your life purpose is. What is the meaning of your life? Why are you here? What are you here to do?
You wouldn't be in this life if it didn't mean something. And your responsibility is to bring your flavor in, which leads us into this tool that we're going to talk about. So this tool is EFT, or Emotion Freedom Technique. So it's tapping on different acupressure points. So it's a wee bit like going for an acupuncture session without the needles, and you get to do it on your own. So in this example, because truth is, you know these negative feelings we were just talking about, like in my wee example there about the cashier, negative emotions happen. Bad stuff happens. I get cranky and upset myself. But it's what we do with that. Number one, we can't push it away, because if we push away a negative feeling, it gets bigger. But we don't want to hold on to it either. So let me just run through the points for anybody who doesn't know what EFT is. Of course, the listeners are going to get access to a special page, so they can have access to me teaching all over again. So if you forget this is okay.
That's awesome.
So how it starts is you tap on the side of your hand. This is called karate chop point, and you can, it doesn't matter which side you do, dominant hand, non-dominant. Some people like to even do both karate chop points together. And when we're doing this, we're doing something like, we name the emotion that we're going through. So it could be something like, I'm feeling stuck because I don't know what my life purpose is, or I'm so critical, and my life sucks.
I'm frustrated in my job, I'm sick irritated of this, my boss, and everything's not working right.
I'm complaining at the kids and don't like anything about it. So even though all of that is going on, I love and accept myself.
So that's the line. So even though I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm ticked off, I'm whatever, I love and accept myself. And so we do 3 times at this. So even though I don't know what my purpose is, even though I look at other people and see them following their bliss and I'm stuck, I still choose to love and accept who I am. So something like that. So now you're being very honest. It's very important to be uncensored and truthful. Now I'm actually going to slip my glasses off, because I usually do the tapping without glasses, and it's easier to tap. So you take the tips of 2 fingers, and I'm just going to run through the points and show you them, and then I'll come back to tell you what we do. So first one's on the inside of your eyebrow, then outside we go on the bony ridge of our eye, then on the nose, chin, collarbone, under your arm, and on the crown of your head. That's one circuit. So in this scenario that we did, that even though I'm frustrated and upset, I still love and accept myself. When we're doing all of these points, we can have that uncensored dialogue about it. Complain about the boss, complain about the fact that you don't have your purpose, complain, talk about it, and pay attention to, because basically what we're doing is we are releasing on a cellular level. We're being honest, we're showing up, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm letting go. And what happens is we all have our own way of discharging or letting things go. So for some people, it can be they start yawning, some people start to cry. I laugh. When I start laughing, I know it's leaving. There's a combination of all that. Sometimes people just run out of words. There's no more things to say when they're tapping through. And that's it, they're clear. So from there,
you could then continue to tap. Some people like to do right hand for the chatting about the bad stuff and then use the left hand to tap in gratitude. Like maybe I could choose to be more focused on what is good.
Yes.
Maybe I could bring a piece of joy into my life every day.
Well, what's lucky and amazing is that you are offering all of this on a special page on your website, so you can all check that out. After the break, I'll have Roger Deveau with me to help us find ways to actually use our life purpose once we've uncovered it. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Real Talk with Sarah. If you're just joining us, we are talking about finding our life purpose. I've got my favorite person with me, my life and business partner, Roger Deveau, to share how we can all find ways to start living our life purpose. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been loving your show to this point, and I'm excited I get to be on it.
I know. I'm so happy to have you here. And I mean, I didn't just have you here because of who you are in my life. I'm having you on because you've taught me so much about the brain and human behavior and why we do the things we do. And you have then used that in your business to help people to uncover their life purpose and figure out why they do the things they do. So that's why I wanted to have you on. So my question to you is, how do you help people find their life purpose? And what is your life purpose? And how did you find it?
Well, I kind of stumbled into mine, and I spent years in my life. I found I always wanted freedom. I wanted that personal freedom. I don't like being told what to do. You may have noticed, but you still do. And so I always found jobs and roles where I could find and search out that freedom. And one of the last things I was doing before I got into business was personal finance. And I was 20 years old when I got my license. I'm a broke kid. I have no real sales experience. I was an introvert. Things aren't stacking up for me. And I struggled. And I was given all of the sales training that professionals and salespeople are given, and it didn't work for me. And it doesn't work for a lot of people. It didn't feel right. It didn't connect with me, you know. And as Moira talked about, we feel those things in our gut when we're misaligned with our purpose. And I really was struggling, trying to do the things I was told to do to be successful, but I wasn't finding success with it. And finally, after years of that, really butting my head, pushing forward, I kind of stumbled into a way of just getting really clear with myself, giving up on trying all the sales tactics, all the scripts, everything I was given, and really just trying to look into myself and what do I want to do? What is my purpose? Why am I even doing this? And it came out, well, I wanted to really free people from their fears. I wanted to help them get out of their current situations they were stuck in and help them move on in their lives. And I realized to do that is to teach. And so I threw out all the sales training, I threw out the door-to-door, I threw out all that stuff, and I just started teaching people. I started putting on seminars and teaching people how money worked, how it's working in their lives, and then if they want to sit down with me and learn more, they could. And if they wanted to go somewhere else and use what I just taught them, they could as well.
Okay, so you said how money works.
How money works. Okay. I know my voice is not as nice as Moira's.
No, well, you don't have a Scottish accent,
no.
A beautiful brogue or whatever it's called. So just keep going. Keep telling us then what happened.
So once I discovered that, right after that, everything started feeling so much easier. I had people wanting to sit down with me, and my life really started to flow a lot more. And one of the last people I sat down with, I couldn't help them at all on the financial side with the products. They were thinking of maybe they'd have to sell their home or get rid of their car. They didn't know what they were going to do, and I couldn't help them. And then all of a sudden, I started talking to her. She had a business on the side, but she was very introverted, shy, and tried all the sales stuff, couldn't get it going. And so I just started sharing with her how she can use her skills and how she can take her message and share it with people, and that would help her get more clients. And by the time I sat down with her the next week, I think I was able to save her $50 on the financial planning side, But she told me she was now making another $700 a month because she got 3 new clients since we last spoke with what I helped teach her.
And really what you help to teach her, what I'm sensing, is just being more authentic, being more genuine.
Absolutely.
Not following scripts and strategies, but doing it from a place that comes from a place of realness inside.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, Moira hit on it, where we get in our heads.
Yeah.
So in our heads, we're told you have a role, you need to sell. Well, here's how you do it. Here's the scripts. Here's what works. But if that doesn't resonate with you, your values, your ethics, your personality style, so many different factors, it doesn't work. And this is why you have so many people get into real estate or sales of some sort, or things like network marketing companies, and they struggle because they're told, here's how you do it, here's what you must do to be successful, but that doesn't resonate with them. So I like to help people really get clear with what works for them, what are they comfortable doing, and more importantly, and this is the most important one, what message do you have that you want to share with people that no matter what, you feel like you just need to get it out? Forget selling, forget trying to break down people's barriers and try to lead them through. Just get down to what is your core message? What are you trying to do for people? And do that. And there are lots of different ways that that can show up in someone's life, but that's the gist of it. And when I found that, it freed me, and I realized that my passion and my real purpose is helping free people from themselves, helping free people from their own traps that they've given themselves, their fears, whatever they're stuck on, and help them live their life that they want to live.
Oh my gosh, what a gift that you're able to give to people to really help us to know that we don't have to fit into a box. I think so many of us, like you were saying, with realtors and with network marketing companies, a lot of times there are these formulaic approaches to how we do the work that we do, and you're saying that we really have to inject our own personality into it and our own gifts and talents. We really have to let that shine through.
Absolutely. And I find, and this is why the first thing that I would suggest to someone do, if someone's watching this and they might feel, maybe they've always wanted to help animals, maybe there's something they went through when they were younger that they've come through, and now they feel this urge to help other people through it and help them come up through. Whatever that thing is that they find, that they think is their passion or purpose, first step, surround yourself with it.
Awesome. All right, well, after the break, Roger's going to help us understand why most of us won't do a thing with our newfound life purpose and how you can be the exception to this rule. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Real Talk. We're finding our life purpose on this show, and I've got Roger Deveau with me to help us understand why our brains fight us every step of the way when we want to make changes. Why does that happen?
We are our own worst enemies. And that's why, as I was just kind of mentioning, when someone finds their life purpose, even if you have an inclination to what that is, as soon as you can, start surrounding yourself with it. Go on social media. Find groups of people who are talking about it or doing it already or sharing it.
But are you know I was about to ask a question. Are you saying life purpose like the way Moira looks at life purpose, which is the driving force, that thing that's inside of us since we're kids? You're talking about the same thing, because how do I find that on social media? Or are you talking photography or cooking or that kind of thing?
Could be all of the above, and I'm glad you actually specified that. So your life purpose, it might be making people happier, let's say. Now that might come through cooking. Some people like to improve people's lives through food, give them that one happy moment through food. That's their purpose. Someone else with that same driving force, that same purpose, might find it through helping someone in their business, or helping them in their relationships to be happy.
And that's what Moira was getting at as well.
Yes.
This can manifest in all sorts of different career choices.
Absolutely, and I think where a lot of people get stuck in the initial part of it is they think that there's going to be this moment where, oh, I need to be a person who travels to these type of countries to rescue animals that are in this type of range, to bring them to homes and help give them to people suffering with mental illness and need the animals to help them. And that's very specific. It doesn't usually happen that way. It's usually a journey to get there. So if someone were just starting the process of trying to figure out what their life purpose is, I would suggest to just start, and like Moira said, go through that list, listen to your gut, and you're probably going to get a couple ideas. And it might not be a clear career path or hobby path or lifestyle path right away, but it should be something that you might get a little bit of a feeling of where you can start to think how you might be able to act on that. So like I said, with animals, let's say you're an animal lover and you've just always had this thing. Doesn't matter what, maybe you're an accountant for some firm, but this is your passion. I'm not saying to quit your job, start traveling the world and finding these animals, but maybe you can start joining some animal Facebook groups of local shelters, people who help feral animals find new homes. Maybe you can start volunteering your time at some local shelters. Maybe you can go on something like meetup.com and find other groups of animal lovers and start meeting with them. And you might go to a meeting with other people that share this passion. And again, you might not know exactly how that fits into be a life purpose at this moment, but by surrounding yourself with those people and going and meeting them, maybe you meet someone where when they tell you what they do, it sparks something in you, and that becomes a new inspiration, and it's something else you can pursue. Where what a lot of people will do is they'll sit at home, they'll start thinking about it, and I'll get into a lot more why that in a minute, and it sticks as an idea. And they look, well, I can't change my job right now. I'm busy with my family, so maybe I'll look at when the kids leave the home, I'll look at doing this for myself. And it just never becomes anything. And so the most important thing that I would say to someone is just start finding some way to surround yourself with it. Just some way, think of some way you can start to bring it into your life. Maybe it's a nurturing thing and you start growing a plant. Something simple you can do to start getting this life purpose, experiencing it, learning more, and more importantly, starting the journey down the path to really clarifying it.
I think that's so key, because I do think that a lot of people, when they hear figure out your life purpose, to them it means, what job am I going to do? And we forget that we can infuse our life purpose into all of the different things that we do. And like you said, for people that are saying, listen, you know, I might not absolutely love every aspect of my job, but it pays the bills, I've got a great pension, it allows me to be home with my family when I want to be. So maybe in that case, like you said, it can be more of maybe we start a hobby, or just start looking into it, researching it, seeing what opportunities are out there. It's not like we just, go after your life purpose and now everything else has to fall away. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely, and for most people, it doesn't work that way because it's such a drastic change. And the way we are set up as humans, we are designed to not like change. And this is why I say our brains are our biggest enemy, and we are our own biggest enemies. Because what happens is, the same thing if you're starting a diet or any kind of lifestyle change, you want to change your career or start finding your life purpose. We all come across the biggest obstacle, which is ourselves. And this is why most people fail, and why most people never get the change in their lives that they want to get. So
they say they want to work with animals, they want to help underserved countries, or whatever it is your examples, your crazy examples. So tell me how that can play in. Like, how does that factor when our brains are trying to tell us no? Is that because we're at home saying I could never do that? Like I might think about wanting to do that, but I could never actually put one foot in front of the other to make it happen. You're saying our brains will not allow us to do it?
So the biggest thing that we need to realize is that our brain has one function above all others, and that's survival. And what we've done in our lives up to this point to get us to where we are currently, even if you're in a job you're not very happy with or a relationship you're not very happy with, but you've survived. And everything that you've done to this point has kept you alive. It's kept you fed and sheltered in most cases, obviously not with everyone, but in most cases, it's kept you alive and living to this point. So it wants to do everything possible to keep you doing what you're doing on an automated schedule, because it knows it has a great chance of staying alive, continuing to do what it's always done. And so what happens is, what most people do, and I have a book, I'm going to read a little thing for you in a second. Here's a book I love, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Love this book, T.R. Vecker. And what most people do when they have a problem is they make a decision that they want to change it. They make a decision they're going to go on a diet. They make a decision they're going to even sit down and start to do the exercise that Moira gave us to start to find our life purpose. And we get very frustrated when all of a sudden 3 months later, we find out nothing's changed. We find out that we made a decision to do it, we were planning on doing the homework, we're planning on doing the work, we're planning on getting started, and 3 months later we're doing the same thing. And then we're frustrated going, whatever happened to that thing? And so here's a really cool, it's very quick, real neat example, but this is what most people do when they look at their lives and they want something to change. This is how 95% of us go about it, and this is why most of us are doomed to fail before we even begin.
Okay.
And so let's suppose you've just written a letter on your computer. You hit print and the letter comes out of your printer. You look at your hard copy and lo and behold, you find a typo. So you take out your trusty eraser and you rub out the typo. You take your pen, write in what you wanted to be there, and you go back to your computer and you hit print again. And oh my gosh, how could this be? You just got the same problem show up on your paper. So you grab an even bigger eraser, you rub it out even harder. You might go buy a course teaching you how to be an extreme eraser, and you erase it and you reprint what you want, and you go back to the printer and you hit print again. And that problem is going to keep showing up. And you keep going asked, how is this going on? How could this be? Feels like the Twilight Zone, as T. Harv says. And the funny thing with that is this is what we do in our lives. We look at that problem. We look at the physical life around us, our job, our career, our family, our relationship, whatever it is, and we want it to change. And so we decide we're going to make a change without changing anything else, and we keep getting the same results. We keep just hitting print on the computer. What we need to do is, instead of focusing on that actual result we're going to try to get, we need to go back and change our brain. Our brain is that computer. Our brain is that program we type, and it's got in it what's going to come out into our lives. And what most of us do is we look at our lives, we try to erase and fix and make decisions on what we see, but nothing changes because we need to change our brains. Because our brains don't want us to change.
So how do we change our brains?
Great question. It's not easy. And it's not easy for many reasons, but the biggest one being we've never been taught how to control our brain. Another book, and I'll paraphrase for you, but this book's called The Buying Brain, Dr. A.K. Pradeep, and it's a little bit of a deeper book. It's more for people in business, but he's a neuroscientist and works for some of the biggest companies in the world, helping them figure out how to get us to buy their products. So whether I agree with a lot of the work he's doing, because I think Coke is one of his companies, but that's the thing. These companies and these big businesses around us are working with the full understanding of how our brain works, but no one's telling us. No one's telling us how it works.
And that's why we are, anyway, we could go on all day about why we do the things we do and eat the things we eat and do the things we do.
There's one fact that completely changed the way I look at everything in my life now. And it's, to me, the most important thing I can share with someone to help them make any change in their lives. And that's in this book, in his research, Dr. Pradeep found out that in any given second, there are over 11 million bits of information entering our brain. Now, this is mostly through our sight, but through sound, touch, smell, temperature, anything, all of our senses, the way our shoe feels on our foot, the temperature of the room, all of these things. There's 11 million bits of information coming into our brains at any given second.
It's unbelievable.
Our conscious brain, our conscious mind, what we can actually think about and process is at the best of times 40. So you have 11 million bits of information coming in, and only 40 can we actually concentrate and think on. So what happens with that is most of what we do is automated. And so what you have to do, if you want to change your brain, if you really want to get it working for you, you have to almost trick it. Because we have our beliefs. There's 3 factors, and really quickly for anyone, you want your brain to work for you starting right now. What most of us do, we look at our habits, the things we do every day, and we want to change them. And we decide that we're going to make a new diet, and we can't figure out how to change it. Our brain never wants us to change. So what we need to do is find something we can do right now, some simple, small action that's going to get us a positive result towards the new life we want to have. So if you're trying to do a new lifestyle and a new life purpose, what's one action you can do that's going to give you a positive feeling? That could be just do the exercise. That could be join a group. And if you give your brain that positive reinforcement, it's going to automatically start to build new habits and new beliefs around what you want.
I really like what you're saying. So we are talking about changing our actions because our habits won't yet have caught up. It's not become a habit yet to eat healthy food if we've decided we want to lose weight, for an example.
Our habits to stop and get takeout on the way home.
Right. So we need to start where we can start, which is with the actions, because we won't even believe that we can be a healthy and fit person yet. Not really, anyway.
Absolutely. Everything, all of our beliefs got us to where we are, and they want us to stay that way. So what you have to do, every day pick an action, get you a positive result. Because tomorrow, your brain's going to try to get you not to do it. And that's normal.
Yeah, that's what everybody does, right? So put those running shoes by the door. You know, make that healthy food the day before. Pack your lunch. Know that that's what you're going to do the next day. Don't leave it to chance. Make it so that your actions will somehow, sooner or later, turn into the habits that you want to create. And sooner or later, you can believe that you are a healthy person.
Just by doing those simple actions, even one a day that gets you some kind of positive result, your brain will automatically start trying to make that happen for you through your habits. And before you know it, you'll be doing those things automatically without having to force it. It might take weeks, it might take months, depending on how many actions you're doing. But you will get there if you just take it step by step.
I love it. It even feeds into what you were talking about with if you wanted to check out meetup.com and connect with people who are doing the same things. And then you can really get your life purpose working for you. Thank you so much for being here, Roger. You know you're my favorite person. When we come back, I'll share my final thoughts. Back in a moment. As a kid, to be honest, I don't think I gave much thought to what I would be when I grew up. I suppose I figured it would all be revealed to me at some point in the future. But as I drifted through my teens and my 20s, I remember many times feeling lost, really not knowing what I should or could do with my life. I remember the darkness and heaviness that filled me when I'd stare out the window after a night of drinking and ask myself, what are you doing with your life? But being too afraid to wait for the answers to come. It wasn't until I found recovery and started truly cultivating a practice of personal growth that I've been able to finally understand that my life purpose is not about what I do, but rather it's about who I am. Being able to share myself in a more meaningful way that reminds others that our failures don't make us weak, but rather they strengthen us and change us and grow us up in all the best ways has become my life purpose. I am so grateful to my guests, Moira Hutchison and Roger Deveau, for helping us to uncover what it means to live our lives on purpose, which will create a ripple effect in the world as we inspire others to do the same. And thank you for being here as we continue to raise our awareness around issues that have the potential to change the world, one person at a time. Until next time, I want you to remember one thing, that no matter where you are, and no matter how it feels, you are never, ever alone. See you next time.